Welcome back to Garage Discuss. Today we are heading straight into the garage, but we're doing it with a very specific mission in mind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we are tackling a problem that I think every single person who has ever wanted to make their vehicle look a little cooler, a little tougher, has run into.
Okay. I think I know where you're going with this.
It's a phenomenon that I like to call the blender effect.
The blender effect. It sounds kitchen-related, but I have a feeling we aren't talking about smoothies today.
We are definitely not. You know the drill, right? You buy the truck, the SUV, maybe even a crossover.
Hmm.
You want it to look capable. You want those aggressive, knobby tires that say, I could drive up a mountain if I wanted to.
Right. You want the look.
But then the reality sets in. You're not driving up a mountain every Tuesday. You're driving to
The grocery store.
exactly the grocery store. You're driving to work on the highway at 70 miles an hour. And suddenly, it sounds like you are sitting inside a Vitamix on the puree setting.
It is the classic trade-off. For decades, the rule of thumb was, well, it was brutally simple. If you want the look and the off-road grip, you have to sacrifice your eardrums and your ride comfort.
Totally.
The physics were just against you. I mean, those aggressive tread blocks that are so good at digging into mud,
Yeah.
they also tend to just slap against the pavement, creating that harmonic drone that can honestly drive you insane on a long road trip.
Exactly. You're paying for the cool factor with your sanity. But, and this is why we're here today, our research stack for this deep dive suggests that we might have finally reached a sort of tipping point.
Okay.
We've got data from independent testing. We've got deep dives into owner forums from Tacoma drivers to Rivian owners. And we've got availability charts for 2026.
Right.
And the consensus is you can actually have your cake and eat it too.
We are looking at the Goldilocks zone today. These are all terrain tires that handle the dirt, they look the part, but have passed what we're calling the quiet test for daily driving.
We have 6 contenders on the list. And I have to say, the ranking surprised me a little. We've got the successor to the absolute king of all terrains, which we'll get to.
Mm-hmm.
But the #1 spot, it went to a tire that uses something called road glide technology to basically trick your eyes and your ears.
It is a fascinating list. And what's really interesting is that it highlights how much tire technology has advanced in just like the last 5 years.
For sure.
Engineers are using computer modeling to randomize pitch sequences and dampen frequencies in ways that just weren't possible a decade ago. It's moved from just chemistry to like acoustic physics.
So let's stop teasing and start driving. We're going to count them down from number 6 all the way to the winner.
Let's do it.
Let's start with our number 6 spot. This is a tire that seems to be positioned as the value contender. It's the Nitto Terra Grappler G2.
Right, the G2. This is a tire that's been a staple in the community for a while. If you look at the pricing, it's usually sitting between, say, $170 and $190 per tire, depending on your size, of course.
Which is what we call the sweet spot. But whenever I hear value in the car world, my brain usually hears compromise.
Sure.
Why is this tire on a quiet list if it's the budget pick?
Well, it's not the, cheap no-name rubber that you find at the back of a discount warehouse that's going to fall apart in a year.
Okay.
But it's also not the premium, bank-breaking price tag of the top-tier heritage brands. It's accessible. But to answer your question about the noise, how does a tire that costs less manage to keep the volume down?
Yeah, what's the secret?
The notes mention something called variable pitch tread blocks.
Yeah, I see that term in marketing brochures all the time. Can you unpack that for us? Because it sounds like fancy marketing speak for we put the rubber on the wheel. Is it actual physics?
It is actual physics, and it's actually brilliant. Imagine a tire where every single tread block is exactly the same size and spaced exactly the same distance apart.
Clear.
As that tire spins, those blocks hit the pavement at a constant rhythm. Tap, 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 tap. At highway speeds, that rhythm becomes a frequency, a drone.
Like a musical note you can't turn off, like a mosquito in your ear.
Precisely. It resonates. What Nitto did with the variable pitch is they randomized the size and the spacing of the tread blocks around the circumference of the tire. So instead of a constant rhythm, the tire creates multiple different frequencies. One block hits and makes a sound, the next block hits and makes a slightly different sound that effectively cancels the first one out.
So creating white noise, basically.
Exactly. It creates a white noise that the human ear just doesn't perceive as a drone. It breaks that harmonic frequency.
So it's scrambling the audio signal before it even gets to the cabin. That is cool. But, does it actually work in the real world? Or is it just good in a computer simulation.
Largely, yes, it works. There was a long-term test done by Driving Line where they put these on a RAV4.
A RAV4, interesting.
Yeah, and a RAV4 is a unibody vehicle, so sound travels through it differently than a big truck on a frame. After 35,000 miles, they reported the tires remained quiet and showed perfectly even wear.
35,000 miles is a pretty decent test period. But I see a caveat here in our notes. And in the World of Garage Discuss, we have to look at the downsides. What's the issue?
The vibration. When you dig into the truck forums, specifically the heavier vehicle forums, you start seeing a pattern. It's not everyone, but a statistically significant number of users report that once they hit that 30,000 to 40,000 mile mark, a vibration can start to creep in.
So the sound might be okay, but the feel through the steering wheel changes. Why does that happen?
Potentially. As the rubber hardens and wears, if that variable pitch pattern wears unevenly or if the internal structure has settled, you can get some feedback.
Right.
Tires get harder as they age, the rubber loses its elasticity. If those blocks aren't wearing perfectly flat, that fancy noise-canceling geometry starts to, well, it falls apart. It's a risk factor to be aware of.
Got it. And what about when the sky opens up? How's the G2 in the rain?
It says deep sipes. Those are those little slits in the tread block that bite into the water. When the tire is new, it's great, but the sipes don't go all the way to the bottom of the block on the G2. So performance drops, and it drops significantly once you wear the tread past the halfway point.
Ah, so it's a fair weather friend as it ages.
In a way, yeah. If you are a driver who does 80% highway, 20% dirt roads, and you live in a dry climate like Arizona or Southern California, this is a fantastic value.
But if you're in a rainier climate?
If you're in Seattle or London and you tend to run your tires until they are bald, maybe look elsewhere.
Fair enough. Solid start at number 6. Let's move to number 5. This is a tire that I feel like I see on every other Tacoma and 4Runner in the grocery store parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
The Toyo Open Country AT3.
You are seeing them everywhere because Toyo absolutely flooded the market with these, and for good reason. They redesigned this tire from the ground up to replace the old AT2, and the hype machine has been working overtime.
It's definitely got the look, it's got that aggressive sidewall that people want, but does it have the silence? Or are people just buying for the aesthetic?
This is where we have to, nuance the word quiet. The Toyo AT3 is not silent.
Okay.
If you are expecting a library, this isn't it. Owners consistently describe the sound profile as a slight hum once you get above 55 miles per hour.
A hum, not a roar. Is that a distinction that matters?
Oh, it matters a lot. There's a specific anecdote from a Trail Tacoma owner in our source material. He noted that over 35 miles per hour you can hear them, they are audible.
Right.
But, and this is the key, if you have a radio on at a reasonable volume, the tire noise disappears. It's a frequency that is easily masked.
So it lets you know, hey, I'm a truck tire, but it doesn't, punish you for it.
Exactly. It's communicative, not annoying. But the real story with the Toyo isn't just the noise, it's the durability, especially when it comes to the new wave of vehicles we're seeing. EVs.
Oh, this is interesting. We usually think of these tires for gas trucks, but we have data from a Rivian owner.
We do. And this is significant because Rivians and electric trucks in general are absolute tire shredders.
Right. The weight and the torque.
They are incredibly heavy, often 7,000 pounds or more, and the instant torque they deliver just rips rubber apart. A standard all-terrain tire might last 20,000 miles on an EV if you're lucky.
Okay, so what did the Rivian owner report with the Toyos? Did they just melt off?
Quite the opposite. After 17,000 miles, the tread was sitting at 1,330 seconds of an inch.
And where did it start?
It started at 1,530 seconds.
Whoa, that is barely anywhere. He lost 230 seconds and 17,000 miles on a Rivian.
It is immense durability. That is like granite-level hardness in the compound. If it can stand up to the weight and torque of a Rivian, it will last forever on a standard gas-powered pickup.
That's incredible.
It proves the compound is incredibly tough.
And it's got the winter chops too, right? I see the rating here.
Yes, it carries the 3 Peak Mountain Snowflake rating. Owners in Colorado and the Pacific Northwest swear by them in the snow.
So high durability, good winter performance, manageable noise. What's the trade-off? Why is it number 5 and not number 1?
Comfort. In independent testing, it scored a 6.0 out of 10 for comfort.
That's not great.
No. That stiff sidewall and durable compound that makes it last so long on a Rivian also means you feel the bumps a bit more. It's just a stiffer ride.
Okay, so you feel the road a bit more, but you get a tire that lasts. I can see why it has a cult following.
For sure.
But speaking of cult followings, let's move to number 4. The notes literally call this one the Forum King. If you go on Facebook groups, this is the answer to every question. The Falken WildPeak AT3W.
The WildPeak is a phenomenon. It's competitively priced, usually $165 to $210, so it fights right there with that Nitto we mentioned.
Right.
But the reputation is just bulletproof.
Let's decode the name first. The W. It stands for something specific, doesn't it?
Wear, winter, and wet. Falken didn't try to be cute with the naming convention. They told you exactly what they focused on.
And does it live up to the winter part of that W? Usually all season or all terrain implies no season, like it's mediocre at everything.
In this case, the winter claim is legitimate. We found a Ford Tremor owner, cited in our research, who actually stopped swapping to dedicated winter tires.
Really?
Yeah, which is usually rule number one for serious winter driving. He stopped because the WildPeaks perform so well. He called them borderline unstoppable in the snow.
That is high praise. To replace a dedicated winter tire, that's impressive.
It really is.
Now, what about the noise? We're comparing it to the Toyo hum. What did the Falken sound like?
The sound signature is different. Owners describe it as a whoosh.
A whoosh, like wind.
Exactly. Instead of a high-pitched drone or a mechanical hum, it sounds more like air rushing over the vehicle. It's a lower frequency sound.
Okay.
A Jeep Gladiator owner noted that while it was noticeably louder than the factory street tires, which is to be expected, it was significantly quieter than other all-terrains he'd run.
So it's a background noise, not a foreground noise.
That's a great way to put it. It doesn't intrude.
I like that distinction. Ooh, sounds a lot less fatiguing than drone. And I see a note here about heat-diffusing sidewall. That sounds like something from a sci-fi spaceship. What does it do for a tire?
Heat is the enemy of tires. Think about when you bend a paperclip back and forth rapidly, it gets hot, right?
Right.
Tires do the same thing. When you are towing heavy loads or running at high speeds for long durations, the sidewall flexes. That friction creates heat.
And heat is bad.
Very bad. If the heat gets too high, the rubber compound actually starts to break down. It's like reversing the vulcanization process.
Yeah.
The tire gets soft, wears out faster, or even blows out.
Yikes. So how does the Falken stop that?
Falken designed the sidewall specifically to dissipate that heat. They built in these little nodules and cooling fins that allow the tire to stay cooler under load.
Ah, so that's what those little bumps are for.
Exactly. That's why you see owners regularly getting 40,000 to 50,000 miles of even wear, even when they're using their trucks for, actual truck stuff.
So it's the split personality tire. It commutes well, handles the snow, and doesn't melt when you tow a boat.
Perfectly suited for the weekend warrior.
All right, we are into the top 3. And number 3 is fascinating to me because it's described as the sleeper. It's the Continental Terrain Contact AT. And the note here says it flies under the radar because it lacks the Instagram look.
This is the tire for the adult in the room.
Yeah.
It does not look aggressive. If you put this on your lifted truck, nobody's going to stop you at the gas station and say, "Whoa, sick tires, bro."
It looks like a standard tire.
It looks very mild. The tread blocks are closer together. The sidewall is pretty plain. It looks like something that would come stock on a family SUV.
Right.
But because of that design, it is arguably the quietest tire in the entire category.
How quiet are we talking?
Consumer Reports gave it excellent marks specifically for noise reduction. One owner stated that after a 400-mile break-in period, it was indistinguishable from a standard highway touring tire.
Wow. So complete silence, basically.
As close as you can possibly get with an all-terrain badge. And it's not just the noise. We have to talk about the wet performance here. This is the safety pick.
The notes mention best-in-class stopping distance.
It dominates on wet pavement. The compound is silica enhanced, which makes it incredibly sticky on wet roads.
Can you explain the silica part? Why do we put sand in tires?
It's not quite sand, but it's a form of silica used in the compound mix. Traditional carbon black rubber is durable, but can be hard.
Okay.
Adding silica allows the rubber to remain flexible at lower temperatures and conform to the microscopic imperfections in the wet road surface. It creates a kind of chemical stickiness that water can't break.
And that translates to?
In multiple tests, it had the shortest braking distances, period.
I feel like we gloss over that sometimes. We talk about grip in terms of climbing rocks, but grip in terms of I'm doing 65 on the highway, it's raining, and the guy in front of me slams on his brakes.
Yeah.
That's the grip that saves your life.
Precisely. If you live in a place like Seattle or Florida with those sudden downpours, or London places where the road is wet 40% of the time, this is the tire you should buy.
So forget the looks.
Forget the looks, buy the stopping distance.
But because it's a sleeper and not an aggressor, I assume there's a compromise off-road.
There is. This is not a mud tire. Do not take this into deep mud.
Right.
There was a test where it got stuck in mud deeper than 8 inches mud that the Falken or the Nitto would have chewed right through. The tread just fills up with mud and turns into a slick.
So it becomes a racing slick in the mud. Not good.
Exactly. It's designed for gravel roads, fire trails, wet grass, and pavement. It is not for rock crawling or mud bogging. It's an overlanding light tire.
Which, let's be honest, is 99% of what people actually do.
Correct.
Okay, we've had the value pick, the hype beast, the cult favorite, and the safety sleeper. Now we are getting to the heavy hitters. Number 2.
This is a big one.
This is big news.
Mm-hmm.
The King has a successor. We are talking about the BFGoodrich All-Terrain TA KO3.
The KO2 has been the gold standard for a decade. If you close your eyes and imagine an all-terrain tire, you are imagining the BFG KO2.
For sure.
It defined the category. It's the tire on the Jurassic Park Jeeps. It's the icon.
It's iconic. But it wasn't perfect. I had KO2s on my old truck, and I remember them getting loud.
No, it wasn't perfect. And the KO3 is basically an apology letter for the flaws of the KO2 while keeping everything that made it great.
So what were the specific flaws they were apologizing for?
The big ones were road noise as they aged, and critical here, wet stopping distance. The KO2 was notorious for getting a little slippery on wet pavement.
Right.
It had a hard compound that lasted forever but didn't love the rain.
So does the KO3 fix it? Let's look at the data.
The data is compelling. In wet stopping tests, the new KO3 stops in 184 feet. The old KO2 took 195 feet.
That's an 11-foot difference.
Let's put that in context. 11 feet is the width of a crosswalk. It's the length of a small car.
Wow.
That is the difference between stopping with your heart pounding or stopping with your radiator wrapped around a tree.
Or hitting a deer or a pedestrian. That is a massive safety upgrade.
It really is. And on the noise front, BFG integrated specific noise reduction tech into the tread pattern. They tightened up the spacing to reduce the air voids that create that slapping sound.
And do people notice it?
Owners are confirming it is noticeably quieter. One reviewer on the official site said it was a huge selling point. They switched from a noisy competitor and couldn't believe the difference.
And since it's a BFG, I assume the durability is there, the off-road part.
Oh, they doubled down. They have this CoreGuard Max technology.
Yeah.
It gives the sidewalls 20% better puncture resistance.
20%.
This is for the people who actually go off-road. If you are bashing into rocks, jumping curbs, or driving through sharp shale, this is the sidewall you want. It's armor.
It sounds perfect. It's quiet, safer in the rain, bomb-proof sidewalls. So why is it number 2? What's the catch?
The catch is you might not be able to buy it.
Ah, the supply chain.
The rollout is slow. They are releasing sizes in waves through 2026. So you might want the KO3, you might have the money for the KO3, and it is premium priced around $200 to $260. But if they haven't made it in your truck's size yet, you're out of luck.
That's frustrating. Here's the perfect tire, come back in 6 months.
It is. But if you can get it, it is the new benchmark for serious off-roaders who still need to commute.
So if the King is number 2, who is number 1? This was the surprise for me. I did not see this coming. The winner of the quiet all-terrain deep dive is the Cooper Discoverer Road+Trail AT.
Cooper. It's not the flashiest brand. It doesn't have the massive marketing budget of BFG or Toyo. But this tire is a masterpiece of engineering balance.
The outline calls it smart money. $180 to $220. So it's right in the middle. Why did it win?
It won because of the technology and a little bit of design genius. It won because of something they call road glide technology.
Okay, road glide. We talked about variable pitch earlier. Is it similar?
It's different. Variable pitch is about the tread pattern. Road glide is about how the tire seats on the wheel itself and how it interacts with the rim. It ensures a perfectly concentric mount.
Concentric mount. What does that mean for me?
Usually, a tire relies on air pressure to push the bead against the rim. Sometimes it's not perfectly centered, maybe off by a millimeter or two. That tiny imperfection creates an oscillation, a vibration.
Right.
Cooper designed the bead area to lock in more precisely. It reduces vibration at the source. It prevents the vibration from ever starting rather than just masking the sound later on.
So it's just smoother from the ground up.
Much smoother. We found a Pennsylvania owner who noted a substantial reduction in noise after just 500 miles, comparing it to his previous tires. He specifically mentioned it was quiet even at 80 miles per hour.
80 is the real test. Everything is quiet at 30.
Yep.
At 80, the wind in the tires usually scream.
Exactly. But here is the genius part, and this is why I think it took the #1 spot over the Continental.
Okay.
The Continental is quiet, but let's face it, it looks boring.
Yeah.
The Cooper uses a visual trick. The tread pattern extends 50% further down the sidewall than the previous model.
So it looks like a mud tire from the side.
It looks rugged, it looks aggressive, it gives you that Instagram aesthetic that people want. But that extra rubber on the sidewall doesn't touch the road, so it doesn't make noise. It also provides protection. So you get the look of the Toyo, the protection of the BFG, but the quietness of the Continental.
It's the best of all worlds. It's cheating, but in a good way.
It really is. And the winter performance is legitimate. We have a report from a Buffalo, NY owner.
Oh, Buffalo knows snow.
They do. This owner survived the 2024 blizzard, which was historic, without a single slide. That is a ringing endorsement for the traction compound.
And the warranty. How long is it going to last?
65,000 miles. Top tier.
So let's recap this, because we've thrown a lot of rubber at the listener.
Yeah.
We've got the Cooper taking the win because it balances everything. Looks, noise, winter safety, and longevity.
Correct. But the best tire really depends on you, the listener, and what you need.
Right, so let's do the cheat sheet. If I'm on a strict budget, where am I going?
If every dollar counts, you look at the Nitto Terra Grappler G2 or the Falken WildPeak. They give you the most bang for your buck.
Okay, if I am terrified of hydroplaning and I live in a rainy city.
The Continental Terrain Contact AT. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Buy the Continental. It is the safest tire on wet roads, period.
Got it. Now, if I actually go off-road, like real off-roading with rocks and sharp things, but I still need to drive to work.
The BFG KO3. That sidewall protection is worth the premium price and, well, probably the weight for your size.
And if I just want the do-it-all winner, the one I can just put on and not think about.
The Cooper Discoverer Road+Trail AT. It's the tire you can put on and forget about, knowing it will handle everything and keep your cabin quiet.
You know, this whole deep dive really highlights a shift in the industry. 10 years ago, tire reviews were all about how deep is the mud hole you can get through.
Right.
Now, the engineering is focused on livability.
It's a maturity in the market. We've realized that while we love the idea of climbing Everest, the reality is we are climbing the parking garage ramp.
Yeah, true.
The best tire isn't just the one that conquers the mountain. It's the one that gets you to the office comfortably after you've visited the mountain on the weekend.
That is a great way to put it. And here's a thought for you to chew on, listener. When was the last time you checked the manufacturing date on your tires? Because if you are running rubber that is 5 or 6 years old, you aren't just missing out on tread depth. You are missing out on 5 years of rapid technological evolution in sound dampening and silica compounds.
A 2026 tire is a completely different animal than a 2020 tire.
Absolutely. So go out to your garage, check your sidewall. Are you suffering through the drone, or have you found one of these quiet gems? We want to know.
And check the description for the links to the specific testing data we cited today. There are some really great charts in there.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive on Garage Discuss. Drive safe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Safe travels.